One. Hey, welcome in to Stink Truth Podcast. I am Mark Schlereth alongside my partner, Mike Evans. Thank you so much for being a part or making us a part of your day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button at the end of the video. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Throw the likes in there, the comments in there. I'll get back to you on those comments as well. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm great.
Yeah?
I feel great.
Do you?
I feel awesome.
I know what this is.
I feel great.
Right,
today.
because I let you, the altruistic nature of me, and I have to say, I'm incredible. I really am incredible because I have let you get back into the moneymaker picks to where you've actually usurped me.
I've taken the lead.
You've taken the lead, which it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Let's not talk about how magnanimous you are, okay? As you have told everybody on this Stinking Truth podcast, you are a sore loser, but you're a good loser. Gracious loser, but a dick when it comes to winning.
Right.
So the fact that you had me down, you were enjoying it, you were tap dancing on my grave. So enough with this BS that you let me back into it. I'm just kicking your ass.
No, what's happened?
All right?
What has happened is this is all part of my master plan.
Oh, really?
Right. To make that glorious head of yours get even more swollen, and then you tip over like a Weeblo Wobble, and just boom, right down the ground.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we'll get to the moneymaker picks later.
Well, so is San Francisco and Cincinnati, are they doing the same thing? Are they lulling the rest of the league into a false sense of security? See what I did there?
Nothing to see here, folks.
Right.
We're just going like laying in the weeds. That's what they're doing right now, and then they're going to attack, just jump out at you.
So which team would you be more concerned about right now? Cincinnati or San Francisco? They meet on Sunday.
I'm more concerned about Cincinnati. I'm more concerned about the structure of Cincinnati because they are structured based upon their quarterback's ability to not only make plays, and he's a big-time player, there is no question, but when things break down, can he extend and can he make plays? And that calf concerns me because I think it's gotten better, and you've seen that it's gotten better. You've seen him actually scramble out and make a few plays on the run, and they've got big-time playmakers. That's the way they're constructed. But still, with this said, to this day, they haven't fixed some of the issues they've had up front. They haven't fixed some of the protection issues they've had up front. And if Joe Burrow can't bail them out of those things, then they're in trouble. Yeah, listen, you've got Chase, you've got T. Higgins, they have got great players on the outside, great players. But I don't care who you are, man. In any form of football is played from the inside out, and you can have all the greatest players on the periphery you want. Like you can have the greatest receivers and yada, 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 yada. And you got to have a quarterback. But if you can dominate a line of scrimmage on a consistent basis, you're going to win a lot of football games. Even if you don't have superstars outside, you're going to win a lot of football games. And I have much more faith that the San Francisco 49ers, based upon the way they're constructed, and based upon the way their head coach calls plays, have a better chance to impose their will against the opponent than do the Cincinnati Bengals. And so that's where I would have, hey, Monday night notwithstanding. Monday night was one of those games you walk into a buzzsaw, and I've had a few of those games. I walked into a San Francisco game in 1997. I remember it like it was yesterday. Now, I wasn't even playing because I just had back surgery, but I was getting ready to play, so I made the trip. And I was about a week away from, going back to practice and doing all this stuff. So I made the trip, and it was the night that they were retiring Joe Montana's jersey. It was the night that Jerry Rice was making his return from a torn patella tendon. Every celebrity in Northern California was on their sideline. I think Huey Lewis in the News sang the national anthem.
Of course.
And like the fireworks and the whole 9 yards, and this is a December game, And you walk out, and the way it used to walk out, an old candlestick.
Yeah.
So they had I don't know which is the north or south, but you're closer to the bay where locker rooms were and stuff. And you had to walk about 25 yards of swamp area, right? Because it was like below sea level it was built. So it was just bubbling swamp. And you walk through it, and they had like plywood that you walked over the plywood, and it was oozing over the top of the plywood. So we walk out, and they just had this fireworks, and I think they had already done the national anthem, because back then I think you left before the national. Right. You didn't have to stand out there for the national anthem, and so there's all kinds of smoke. The whole stadium is smoky. Like I walk out, and I'm standing there with the O line and the D line. We're about to go out there, and Oliver Stone is standing right next to us, like kind of just looking, and there's there's celebrities all over the place, and you could just feel the energy in the air. It was palpable. And I turned to a couple guys and I go, no, I wasn't playing, but I was like, I do believe we're going to get our ass kicked tonight.
You just knew, right?
You
just walked into a buzzsaw.
Right, just walked into a buzzsaw. You're like, you're just going to get your ass kicked tonight.
All right, but I'm not so sure that what we're seeing with San Francisco is necessarily just a buzzsaw thing. And I'm going to push back on you, because the one thing about Cincinnati is the only issue, and I'm not saying it's insignificant, but the only issue with them is Joe Burrow's health. You know that if he's healthy, he's the answer. Aren't we starting to wonder about Brock Purdy, whether or not Brock Purdy is the answer?
No, I'm not.
Haven't these last 2 weeks raised some questions?
No. What questions? You're missing your number one guy, your number one target, an incredible football player in Deebo Samuel. And so now all of a sudden, your number one target, the guy, like you think about it, when Deebo Samuel's on the football field, based upon he can line up at any position, he can line up in the backfield, run the ball, he can play, F, X, or Z. He can do all those different things. And plus, you've got to be able to try to take the ball away from him, get him on the ground. He's so good if you get the ball to him in space and all those things. And Brandon Ayuk has been great, but now all of a sudden he's got to be the go-to guy. And you've had an injury to Christian McCaffrey. Her injured is oblique, even though he played on Monday night. He put the ball on the ground once, not something that you typically see from Christian McCaffrey. And I go back to that Cleveland game against a defense that was dominant in a rainstorm, and you were minus both Christian McCaffrey in that, and Brock Purdy was also without Deebo Samuel, who's out for another couple of weeks with this shoulder fracture. And he led his football team all the way down the football field in that rainstorm on that crappy field against that very good defense, and gave them a chip shot field goal to which their kicker shanked. So, no, I'm not ready to sit there and go, Brock Purdy, they figured Brock Purdy out. They haven't figured Brock Purdy out. He's going to be fine.
Cowboys and Rams. Let's get into that game. Dallas coming off their bye. And before that, a gritty win against the Chargers on a Monday night. They're 4-2. I think it's a fair time to revisit your belief or non-belief in the Cowboys. You were very vocal on this podcast during the preseason about Dallas. You don't trust them.
Right.
Where are you at with them now? 6 games in, coming off their bye, heading into the meat of their schedule.
They're a very talented football team. A very unbelievably talented defense. And offensively, I think they've got a ton of talent on the offensive side of the ball as well. But I do think there is still something missing. I think when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, I think when they play a tough opponent, what kind of game are you getting out of Dak Prescott? How is he going to manage the game? And in critical situations, how is he going to thrive? Because honestly, what do you think about when you think about the quarterback position? I'm asking you a question. What do you think about when you think about the quarterback position?
What I look for?
Well, I mean, just your overall thought. Like, what do you? If I was going to ask you, what do you get paid for to play quarterback? Like, what do we pay you for? What is your responsibility?
I would say it's what do you bring from the neck up?
Okay.
What do you bring from the neck up?
Right. Specifically, like, is there anything specifically you look for, from like situationally, like what, like, so the reason I'm getting to this, maybe I formulated that question poorly, which, is typical of the way I formulate things. But let me just say this.
Is he a smart quarterback? Is he making good decisions? Is the offense in rhythm?
I pay you for third downs.
Okay.
That's what I pay you for.
That's all right.
Okay. So I had this conversation with John Elway. He said, your guys' job is to produce on first and second down. My job is to convert on third down.
Okay.
That's your job, right? That in critical situations. Red zone, that's where you're getting paid. You don't get paid, but you don't get paid between the 20s.
Right.
That's where we get paid. You get paid in the red zone, and you get paid between the 20s on third down.
Okay.
That's where you get paid.
I like how you boil it down. That's a good way to boil it down.
If you boil it down, that's really what you get paid for. Because, hey, listen, let's face it. In the red zone, there's very tight windows. That you're thrown in tight windows, and you're limited because you can't air it out. So you're not ever afraid of getting beat over the top. Mm-hmm. So you better be deadly accurate, and you better be on time with the football. You better be dialed into red zone football. That's what we pay you for. Red zone and third downs. And in critical situations, in critical moments, against good teams, Dak Prescott hasn't played well enough. That's it. Right? I mean, you're a talented football team. Yeah. Hey, man, when they play a good team, when they play patsies, other than the Arizona Cardinals, they win. When they play good teams, I expect them to struggle. Who have they lost to this year? They've lost to Arizona, right? And whatever, and they got crushed by San Francisco. Crushed. 42-10. So there you go. Now, the good news is for them, the Rams are struggling as well right now. So they're trying to figure themselves out as well.
Well, the good news for the Cowboys, 4 of their first 6 games have been on the road. More home-friendly coming up. And, boy, that matters. Dallas has won their past 10 at home. It's the longest active home winning streak in the NFL.
Does it go over from the last year? Because they haven't played 10 games. So it goes from year. So we like to put caveats on things, right? Did they play a home playoff game? Does that count? It's probably just regular season.
It's regular season.
Let's throw some more caveats in. This is like math. This is like analytics guy. Well, I don't like the way that stat rolls out, so let me change the parameters of the stat. Oh, look at this! It's so I found magic. Give me a break. I hate that.
They are a different team at home, though.
Yes.
Dak's a different quarterback at home.
Right. You're 100% right.
That's what I was going for.
In 2022, they were a different team at home. I don't know yet. There's not a big enough sample size, Mike.
Of those 10 in a row at home, only 2 have happened this year.
Okay. So they've won 8. They won 8 in a row at home last year.
Yes, and they won 2 in a row at home this year. Okay. Is that how you would prefer to look at it? You don't like to cross-contaminate, huh?
I don't like
from one season to the next.
Look it. If you took my 91 season with the Washington Redskins, where we started 11-0, and then you add it to my 1998 Broncos year, where we started 13-0, I essentially started 24-0. 24-0. I didn't win any. I didn't lose any playoff games either. If you add the playoffs in both of those, it was 4-0 in 91 and 3-0 in 98. So that's another 7 to my 24, which gives me 31 straight wins in my NFL career, which I'm assuming is some type of record.
Let's talk more about you. How about the game you're going to be calling this week? I know you love it.
It's my favorite subject.
I know you love these NFC East games. They bring back so many memories.
Do they?
And you get to go back home this weekend. You're calling Washington and Philadelphia. Washington just kind of vomited all over themselves, losing at the Giants 14-7.
By the way, did you hear Jonathan Allen?
He's, to paraphrase, tired of this crap.
Yeah. And I am sick of this shit.
Okay, you go ahead.
I am like, man, I have done nothing but lose since I got here. and I am sick of this shit. Do you know who I asked to speak with to the PR people?
Jonathan Allen?
I did. Do you know what I was denied?
Jonathan Allen. They just soon like that to go away.
Old PR. Well, things aren't going really well right now in Washington, and I can tell you why, man. They can't get out of their own way on the offensive side of the football. Do you know? I read this, and they send us articles and stuff, and I've watched a bunch of film. I've watched the last couple of weeks, and so anyhow, they send us a bunch of they send us articles every week. So every day you get a stack of articles to read. You know how many sacks Washington has given up? If this article was correct, do you know how many sacks? I haven't researched it, but how many sacks Washington has given up on the season right now? So they're 6 games in, right? Or are they 7 games in? 7 games in. How many sacks would you guess that Washington has given up? Is it on there? Is it on your little sheet there that I gave you?
I do not see it.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
He's been sacked. Sam Howell has been sacked 40
times.
I found it.
In 7 games.
7 games.
40 times.
It's almost 6 sacks per game, Mark.
40 freaking times. Mike, I was watching the film, and I wanted to be sick for Sam Howell. And is there a couple of times?
Yeah, because wait a minute. Let me just say this. Normally, whenever you see a high sack total, you say there are a lot of fingerprints on those sacks, that it's not just simply a bad offensive line.
Normally, yes.
In this case?
I would agree with you. In this case, they are awful. They cannot pick up a blitz. They cannot snap a game off. It is unreal. They should dress up for Halloween as vampires, because I ain't never seen so many neck-sucking bloodsuckers that don't see anything going on around them. It's like, oh, that's my guy? Here it is, Mike. That's my guy? Oh! You're right on it. I'm like, God, pull your head out and actually look for the twister. Pay attention to the blitzer. Oh, it's as bad as it gets. It is that bad. They can't run it. They can't throw it. They didn't separate from man-to-man. When you play the Giants, Wink Martindale is their defensive coordinator. Wink Martindale blitzed 59% of the time in their game that they lost 14-7 against a team in the Giants that's setting football back by a decade, 2 decades. They're that bad. And they couldn't pick up a blitz. They couldn't shake loose from man-to-man coverage. They couldn't do anything. As a matter of fact, I think they had 46 total yards in the first half. They had 8 drives in the first half. Only one of the 8 drives had 4 or more plays. So they were 6 or 7 3-and-outs, and they had maybe 2 drives that had 4 plays. They converted a first down and then went 3-and-out. But they didn't have a drive that constituted more than 4 plays. Sam Howell, after taking 5 sacks in the first half, had 15 total yards passing in the first half. I mean, Mike, it is unbelievable. And now you're facing a Philly team. Whatever the deepest shade of blue collar is, that's exactly what they are, man. They will bludgeon you, even though they play entirely out of shotgun. Their group up front is big and strong, and they will bludgeon you, and they do a good job of designing plays for their tight ends, for their wide receivers, and getting guys quickly into space with the ball in their hands.
Early rematch game, because it was a month ago that these two teams played in Philly. Mm-hmm. Philly lost that game. Washington. Philly won that game.
Overtime.
34-31 in overtime. So with the rematch just a month later, who does that benefit? Does it benefit Philadelphia in that, okay, Washington got our attention in this game and we were lucky to win, or does it favor Washington because some of those struggles aside, they can feel pretty confident about how they played in Philly?
Based on the film I've watched of their last 2 games, they didn't do anything against Atlanta and found a way to win a game because the Atlanta quarterback in Ritter threw 3 picks. They had I think it was a punt return right there, all the way down. They had 3 scoring. They had was it 3 or 4 scoring drives? 3 scoring drives, Mike, 3 touchdown drives that netted, I believe, 90 total yards of offense in 3 scoring drives. So, I mean, Washington didn't do jack in that game. They came away. They were fortunate that Atlanta played so poorly. So they didn't do really jack in that game offensively. The game against the Giants was as bad as I've ever seen. And I would just based on, and then you go back to Chicago on that Thursday night game. They were horrible in Chicago. So, yeah, there's something afoot in Washington right now. It stinks.
So all you Eagle and Commander fans, get used to this face because you're going to be seeing him on Sunday calling your game. The Battle of New York or the Battle of New Jersey, Giants and Jets. I know the Giants aren't very good, but they seem to at least have a little bit of heartbeat there. You know, they go up to Buffalo, play Buffalo tough, turn around, beat Washington. There's nothing aesthetically pleasing about the Giants, but they seem to have some guts, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, and
that counts for something.
Yeah, there's no question it does. They still have Barkley. Tyrod Taylor started at quarterback, actually played decent against Washington. I don't know where Daniel Jones is. They're probably telling Daniel Jones, take your time. Take your time. We're not in a hurry to get you back. Just take your time.
Are they better with Tyrod Taylor?
They are better when they're using their quarterback to extend plays and run. Tyrod he's a drop back guy. He's not that guy either. But I think they're better when Daniel Jones is operating as I'm not going to call him a run first guy, but when they're more balanced with their running game, with their quarterback run game, and then all the play action stuff that comes off their quarterback run game. So I would tell you that I think they're better there. But yeah, like what you're going to get out of their defense. Their defense, the defensive line, they've got really good players. And the kind of aggressiveness you're going to get from Wink Martindale. At the end of the day, that dude is bringing heat. He's bringing pressure. And his philosophy on defense is we're going to bring that heat. We're going to bring that pressure. We're going to put you under duress. And we believe that we'll make more plays than you'll make. You may make 4 big plays on us or 5 big plays, but we're going to make 8 on you. And in the wash, we're going to come out on top. And that's, his philosophical approach. Now, you got to have some, from a complimentary standpoint, you got to have an offense that can make some plays because otherwise, that's a recipe for disaster. But that's the way he plays. They'll play hard, but when you look at what the Jets are doing, what the Jets have done defensively, Mike, the Jets are they're big time. They hold down big time opponents offensively. They crush people, and that's kind of who they are and the way they're built right now. And there's still that glimmer of hope that Aaron Rodgers is going to, knight in shining armor, to come, galloping in on his white steed, right? And then he'll be, he'll take off the so what do you call that? The shining armor. Take off the helmet. He'll have the jousting pole.
Glorious hair.
Yeah.
Blowing in the breeze.
Right. And he'll just look.
But still, you're basing this on Aaron Rodgers making some kind of miracle return. Zach Wilson, no interceptions in 3 of his last 4 starts, 70% completion percentage in 2 of his last 3 starts. There's seems to be a quiet building optimism that the Jets, especially with some of the weaknesses shown by the Bills and maybe even the Dolphins, that the Jets can still be a playoff team with Zach Wilson.
I don't think there's any question. I mean, when you run the ball the way they run the ball, Breece Hall's averaging 6.5 yards per carry. They run the ball. They've got young receivers that I think are really good, and he's being judicious with the football. And bottom line for the Jets, if you're managing that football team and you're managing Zach Wilson, you're just saying, hey, man, we're going to run the ball. We're going to set up some easy one-on-one throws for you, some easy access throws, because we're going to get a bunch of single high stuff, right? So we're going to have access to the outside. So the way I always think about it, and the way it was always told to me, is you get that single high, middle of the field, closed safety. right? Means you're getting access one-on-one to the outside. That's basically what it means, right? Any vertical, whether you're playing cover 3 or cover 1, any vertical release on the outside is man-to-man, becomes man-to-man. So you're having man-to-man or access. So if, for instance, if a corner is 8 yards off, you can just run a little, a hitch, or you can run a, whatever you want, a thunder, whatever you call it, where you drive a guy off and come back at 8 and catch the ball. You got access out there. So, you're making it simple. The way you run the ball, you're making it simple for your quarterback. And then on top of that, and there's nothing wrong with that, there's nothing wrong with managing a quarterback, a young quarterback, and giving him simple, easy reads and simple throws. On top of all of that, Mike, they're going to play great defense. So the bottom line, you say, hey, man, when in doubt, throw it out of bounds, punt, and let your defense win this game. And that's how they're constructed. And I'm telling you, I'm with Robert Saleh. I believe they got a chance to be a playoff team even with Zach Wilson. The way they're playing right now, and oh, by the way the Bills are scuffling, and let's face it, Miami's
they haven't beaten anybody.
Right. Of all their wins, none of them against the teams. What you came up with the other day?
8-30? Something like that?
I think it was 8. It was 5 and 25, 8 and 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
Deshaun Watson, stop me if you've heard this before, once again finding himself embroiled in controversy, although not directly with himself, but with his private quarterback coach, Quincy Avery, who took exception to your Fox Sports cohort, Brady Quinn, who was talking about Deshaun Watson, said, quote, everyone with a medical opinion has cleared Deshaun. The situation is almost similar to a kid getting a $230 million trust fund. You ask them to get a job, and they have no incentive to do it. So this guy, Quincy Avery, responds, Brady, be real. You don't know what the bleep you're talking about and sit behind a microphone gossiping like a little high school chick. They went back and forth a little bit, and then Brady Quinn dropped this hammer. How about we massage this conversation and get it to a happy ending? Does that sound satisfactory?
Wow.
Now, I know you would appreciate a comeback like that.
Wow.
How about we massage this conversation and get it to a happy ending?
Wow, that's as blunt as a spoon. I mean, that very subtle there.
Yes.
Very subtle.
Now I'm finished.
Yeah.
Now I'm done. Was that the old ad with him? Now I'm done.
First, listen, man, every guy's got a different threshold, different pain threshold. And I wish I had $1 for every time a doctor told me I couldn't do any further damage to what I was, what I'd already done. And structurally, yeah, you can be cleared to play structurally. Like, yeah, you've got this shoulder, rotator cuff, I saw Adam Schefter put something out, whatever the scapular, whatever it is, it's part of your rotator cuff. It's totally inflamed or whatever, and so it doesn't track or groove correctly, so it's very painful and everything else. And yeah, theoretically, you're not doing any further damage to it. But if you're weak and you can't make all the throws and it's excruciatingly painful to throw the ball, what are you supposed to do? Yeah, you're cleared to play. You can play. It's just a matter of your ability to tolerate pain. And then on top of that, if you can't drive the ball from one hash to the sideline on the other side, you can't make those throws. Are you really supposed to? How functional can your offense be? So, with that said, now I've made plenty of mistakes over the course of my career in television where you almost get a green room feel. If you get a little loosey-goosey, and you say something, you're like, you go to break and you're going, I could have probably, been a little bit, I could have probably approached that with a little bit more scrutiny. I don't want to say I could have massaged my words better there, but you know what I'm saying. And And, you end up irritating people and pissing people off. And one thing I try not to do is every guy's pain threshold. You got to, I don't care who you are. Like, some guys are tougher than other guys. But if you play in the National Football League, you're tough. There's a toughness level that you have that most people don't. And so I'm not going to question the medical clearance. Dude, I've had so many things where, I mean, the things I did to myself and the things doctors allowed me to do, essentially, and I love I'm still good friends with the doctors that operated on me and did all those things. But man, I've had surgery on a Monday and I had a surgery on a Sunday night. I mean, Sunday night at 11 o'clock at night, I didn't wake up until Monday morning, and checked myself out of the hospital and played the next day, not the next week, the next day. Like, you do things to yourself that it'd be malpractice in any other profession.
Right.
There'd be a malpractice suit in any other profession.
Anybody regular, you're always told, right? Hey, stay off your feet.
Right.
Rest. And you're like, I feel fine. No, take it easy.
Right.
But not with you.
Dude, but like, literally.
But they also knew they couldn't tell you what to do.
Well, I got literally wheeled out. I woke up in recovery at about 1 o'clock in the morning and checked myself out at 11 and drove myself to the stadium. Like, you want to talk about malpractice? I'm still drunk on morphine.
Feel no pain.
Seriously.
Feel no pain. So you got Cleveland.
Reporting for duty. I'm a little bit drunk, but I'm reporting for duty. I'm ready to play.
Cleveland and Seattle, a battle of 4-2 teams. Final topic, because we've been experiencing it here in Denver all week, but it's something that every fan in every city around the NFL, you've dealt with it. The idea that the game has gotten too soft. And some of these hits that are flagged that drive people crazy. The latest example here in Denver, Kareem Jackson, hard-hitting safety, been so for a long time. He laid out a Green Bay Packer, got penalized on the spot, ejected on the spot, ended up getting a 4-game suspension, and it since has been reduced to 2. But this is a guy who, over the course of the season, has been fined a total of about $90,000. Now with the suspension, the money he forfeits brings the grand total to about $390,000. The language in the letter that was sent to Kareem Jackson, this is from John Runyon, NFL VP, discipline, former player, offensive lineman, wrote, on the play in question, you delivered a forceful blow to the head, neck area of a defenseless receiver when you had the time and space to avoid such contact. You could have made contact with your opponent within the rules. And here's the big line, big finish. Yet you chose not to.
Yeah.
Where are you at? What would be your message to fans who are like, come on, man, these hits, there's nothing wrong with these hits. They're clean hits. Why are we legislating against them?
Well, I mean, I think it's more perception than reality. The perception of safety and how much it matters. And the reason, like, why are we big into that? Because I'm all about the gladiator nature, right? I love the big hits. I love the snapping the head back and all that stuff. I think it's great. But it's not where the league is right now. It's what they're trying to clean up. They had to settle $1 billion plus lawsuit on concussion issues. So it really is about the next generation of football players. Do you want to kill the golden goose? So you're basically protecting the next generation. You're telling the mothers that are raising sons that want to play football that, hey, we've got your son. We've got his back. We're doing everything to make this inherently dangerous sport as palatable and as safe as we possibly can. And that's part of it. And John Runyon is right in this. Like, Kareem Jackson went to the shoulder, right? But in going to the shoulder, as that guy tucked down, hit his head. That's on you as a defender. Is it fair? Nope. It's not fair. But it is what it is. And here's what I would say. Target him at the hip. If he squinches down, you're going to hit him in the chest. But you're not going to get up to the head and neck area. And here's a guy that's transitioned during the course of his whole career because he was an outstanding Pro Bowl type corner when he came in on the outside. And then he became, a nickel guy. And then he transitioned to safety. Changed the way and changed the target that you hit people with. And this gets made worse because week 2, he went headhunting against a Washington receiver, and launched himself up right at the guy's head, and he got ejected from that game. Yep. So listen, man, I love Kareem Jackson. He's one of my favorite players to watch play. I don't have a lot of sympathy for him because you need to be the guy that adjusts the way that you play. And if you're not willing to do it, then guess what? You're going to be a fan because they're not going to allow it anymore. All right, Moneymaker picks.
Moneymaker picks. I get to go first this week.
You, by the way, are 11-10. I am 10-1.
I told you it was going to be the comeback for the ages. It was the one. It was going to be the amazing story, and it's already amazing.
I've been laying in the weeds, waiting for you to get back.
I'm going to take the Colts -1 in their game as they are playing. Who they got? I don't. All right, I got Indy -1.
Okay, Indy -1.
I got the Chargers -8.5, and I got the Seahawks -3.5.
All right, I've got. Let me see. Who do I have? Who did I write there? Oh, the Vikings -1. I've got Dallas -9.5.
No, Miami. That's Miami.
Miami. Why did I put? Oh, Dolphins. DOL. I can't read my own writing. I wrote really fast. All right, Dolphins -9.5, and I've got the Jets over the Giants -2.5. So I'm telling you what, there's not going to be one mom safe in the greater New York metro.
Tri-state. Sure, I go the whole tri-state.
Okay.
Cougars, beware.
Yes, indeed.
Zach Wilson's on the prowl.
Oh, yes, he is. Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinky Truth, we thank you so much. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more content just like this. If you want to see more of our videos, you can also be sure to check out our playlist. Let us know exactly what you think in the comments below. We appreciate you guys so much for being a part of that.
Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.